Now the real question is, I just want to know when I'm getting my biopic. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Sunday Fun Day. For today's top 5, we are going to be looking at my top 5 celebrities who I believe deserve a biopic of their own. Now I just want to clarify what I mean by celebrities. I'm excluding any historical figures. The only ones I'm going to be focusing on are ones who have contributed to movie, TV, music, books, comic books, anything kind of along those lines. So coming in at my number 5 spot is going to be Slash. Yes, the guitarist from Guns N' Roses who also has had a very successful solo career. I grew up on Guns N' Roses. It's my dad's favorite band of all time. So I've even seen Slash in concert. Now I haven't been lucky enough to see Guns N' Roses in concert. I love Guns N' Roses, and I feel like Slash would have just such a crazy biopic. Now this might not be the most popular pick, but I just think it would be crazy to see how Guns N' Roses formed, the kind of turmoil that went on in the band that led to them breaking up, the crazy life that Slash lived with all the partying, drugs, alcohol, to having a pacemaker put in, to becoming clean, to his solo career, and to how they had this reunion tour. I think it would be one hell of a wild ride if we had a Slash biopic. Coming in at the number 4 spot is probably another one that a lot of people wouldn't really think of, and that's J.R.R. Tolkien. Yes, the author of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit novels, as well as a few other novels like the Silmarillion. The reason I believe he would make such an interesting biopic is because let's sit back and think about this. This man, by himself, created this entire world with all of these different races, religions, languages. He did this all by himself, as well as he would have that extra little bit of oomph to it, because if you didn't know, J.R.R. Tolkien actually fought in the First World War, so he would have that added little bit of kind of war history in there, as well as how he came up with all of these characters and all these different languages on his own, and then you could even follow along up to his death and then kind of focus afterwards on how Lord of the Rings became so successful. There's a lot that you could really cover in this, and I think it would be very interesting, very detailed. Probably more of a slow burn type of movie, but for me, as a massive Lord of the Rings fan, something I followed all my life, I think this would be a superbly made film. Coming at the number 3 spot is probably everybody in history's favorite old man, and that is going to be Stan Lee. I adore Stan Lee. As you know, I'm a huge superhero fan, comic book fan altogether, and I love the Marvel comics. Now, it doesn't have to be strictly Stan Lee. I say him because he's the most notable name that has come out of Marvel comics, so I feel like, of course, he would be the best focus. He would be the one that would draw the most attention, but you could even do him, Jack Kirby. There's countless other names who have contributed to Marvel and its history that could be explored. Fun little fact is, even back in 2017, Leonardo DiCaprio has actually voiced that he wanted to play Stan Lee in his biopic. Hells yes! Leo DiCaprio playing Stan Lee and how he kind of just created Marvel, all these wonderful characters, all these extraordinary worlds. Just Leo alone would sell me on it. Even if the movie was garbage, I would still go see it because Leo is in it. If Leo's in it, let's face it, it's not going to be garbage. Get a proper director on there and you could have a very well done movie. Coming in at the number 2 spot, and my runner-up for this list is going to be Stephen King. Another author, probably the most prolific horror author ever, I would dare say. I mean, he's the most prolific of my time. Movies are still being made based off of his novels, his short stories, even just little excerpts that he's just kind of scribbled down on loosely. People are like, oh my god, this is written by Stephen King, give me, I want it! Stephen King is a huge notable name. It's not even just like it's Stephen King's It. It's not Pet Sematary, it's Stephen King's Pet Sematary. It's Stephen King's Christie. It's Stephen King's this, that, the other thing. It doesn't matter. If it has Stephen King's on it, people are automatically drawn towards it. This guy, if he was willing to just give us even the slightest little peek into his crazy mind, I think we could have just an absolutely explosive biopic. Seeing how he created all these characters, all these stories, all these worlds. If you look at something like the whole Dark Tower series, if you just looked at how he created, how much love and effort he put into that series alone, let alone things like It, Pet Sematary, Shawshank Redemption. He has such a catalog of work that even just to glimpse into some of these, how we created some of these characters, some of these worlds, would be something just absolutely spectacular and something I would love to see. And now here are some honorable mentions. The first one, everyone's favorite elderly sweetheart, Betty White. Next might be one that's a little different, a little controversial, something you might not expect, but something I would be interested in seeing, and that's a biopic on Marilyn Monroe. Next would be Vince McMahon. Now, I'm not a huge fan of WWE now, I was when I was growing up, but just seeing those early days, how he came up with the idea, how it kind of formed, and like those early days of the WWE and forming into what it is today, that would be a journey. And next one is, I'm kind of iffy on this one because I haven't heard too much on it. I searched it up and apparently it's happening, but that's Elvis Presley, the king himself, and two last-minute additions that I kind of just thought of were Clint Eastwood. I mean, the guy's old, he's had such a filmography of directing and acting that would really be a tale to tell. As well as Morgan Freeman, the guy who everybody wants to narrate their entire lives. Seeing him and his journey from his first film to where he is now still acting today. Morgan Freeman is one of the most well-known men in the entire world, and getting to hear his story would really just be a landmark. And the number one spot goes to, I'll say in just a second, the number one pick has had sort of movies. He's had like concert movies, singer, and he's had kind of like TV movies and documentaries, but there hasn't been one big full-fledged biopic. So my number one pick is actually going to be Michael Jackson. He hasn't had a full-fledged biopic, nothing that's styled like Bohemian Rhapsody, Straight Outta Compton, Walk the Line, or any of those other giant biopics. He hasn't had a full-blown Hollywood-style biopic. Now, the man has lived a very secretive life, as well as, I believe, his remaining family now are very, very against kind of selling the rights to his life and his story to anybody. Like, they are rarely letting anything be made, and anyone that even tries, they're like, lawsuit. Now, again, I don't know if that's because maybe behind-the-scenes stuff isn't nice, maybe they just don't think it's time. I really have no sweet clue, and I'm not going to pretend to. But if the day does come that a Michael Jackson biopic can be made, you can sign me up. I will be in the front row. Not actually, the front row sucks. There's just so much you could explore there. You can explore any 3 sections of his life, or all 3. You can go Jackson 5 Michael Jackson, you can go Thriller style Michael Jackson, or you can go This Is It towards the end of his days Michael Jackson. Or if you're feeling ambitious enough and you're allowing the runtime to go that long, you can do his entire life beginning to end. I think that would be something that would be just plain magical. That would be like a trip to Neverland all on its own. So that's my number one pick, guys, is going to be Michael Jackson. So if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know, what are your top 5 celebrities that deserve a biopic? And be sure to hit me up on social media. I'm on Facebook, the Twitter, and the Instagram. Blammo! Down in the description and at the end of the video. And be sure to check out my Instagram page every Friday for the Fan Vote Friday. And as always, folks, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Higher.